of the question right now. So, analyze the distinguishing feature of the notion of right to equality. In the starting of chapter, we discussed about what is equality, what are the philosophical fundamental things which we have learned in the principle of equality in the preamble of Indian Constitution. So, UPSC has asked in 2020 that what is the distinguishing feature in the right to equality in comparison to the United States of America with respect to India. यानी कि अमेरिका के संविधान में जिस प्रकार की समानता का अधिकार दिया गया है, the right to equality that is provided in American Constitution in comparison to India's Constitution, how far has been it justified and what are its features. So, how to proceed such kind of questions? You should write first of all what is right to equality, समानता का अधिकार क्या है, what are the provisions for equality, what are the philosophical basis. Like in introduction, start with the philosophical basis of quest for equality in the enlightenment period. फिर enlightenment period में हम देखते हैं कैसे लोगों ने समानता के लिए आवाज़ें उठाई. There were gender discrimination, there were class based discrimination, there were caste based discrimination in Indian society. So, starting from the European society, from the right of individual quest, when the Rousseau said that man is born free but everywhere in chain, then comes the Kant who also quoted for equality principle, then comes for the right to equality. So, you should compare the Constitution of America, what it provides in terms of apartheid, racial discrimination, gender equality laws, and in terms of the Indian Constitution, what right it is providing, and conclude with some of the way forward nature, that how in the current scenario how the depressed classes are being deprived of various resources in terms of their working condition, manual scavenging, there is women gender disparities, then again disabilities which are being taken into different way in the society. So, in this way compare all these sections very carefully and write it in detailed manner, conclude it very well by providing the way forward for your concluding part of the answer. So, the next question comes is next question coming is the what is that? Though the Human Rights Commission have contributed and it has protection of human right in India, the Human Rights Commission have contributed immensely to the protection of human rights in India, yet they have failed to assert themselves against the mighty and powerful. You see, for protection of human rights, we are having Human Rights Commission, that is NHRC, National Human Rights Commission at central level, and at state level we have State Human Rights Commission. So, these both commissions are working, still we facing various kind of challenges in terms of human rights, and we are also having challenges in protection of basic rights of human beings, that is right to speech and expression, right to healthy food, right to clean environment, clean water and sanitation. Why it is happening so? Because of the unawareness and there is lack of coherence in the lawmakers and law seekers, the people who are suffering in the village areas. For example, in COVID scenario, we see that many people were dying because of lack of medicines, and many people were starving due to lack of food. Many people were having corpses on the banks of river Ganges. They all were deprived of right to life. So, why this is happening? Still there is National Human Rights Commission. So, you have to write the answer by the format of introducing that what are the human rights, what are the provisions that are provided for the people in order to have basic human rights. Then second part is what are the challenges that people are facing in deliberation of human rights in their day-to-day life scenario. What are the challenges with the old age people, what are the challenges faced by the person who is working condition, women who are working, women at maternity level, children who are going to school, sometimes we see that people are deprived of wearing their turban, their some kind of dress code like burqa and other kind of their personal attire, that are all part of right to life, and they also constitute the basic human right. So write in short form, explain the important topics in detail, then conclude with the conclusion mark. Okay, so in this way you can approach to the UPSC mains answer in the polity with some constitutional provisions, some judgments and some remarks by Honorable Supreme Court. You can achieve good marks. Then next part comes with the MCQ based question in prelims examination which were asked in the year 2021. So let us see. Under the Indian Constitution, concentration of wealth violates. What it violates? Under Indian Constitution, concentration of wealth is violating something. So option A, right to equality, option B, the directive principle of state policy, and option C, right to freedom, or option D, the concept of welfare. So the correct answer is it violates the directive principle of state policy. DPSP is the correct answer. Why? Because equitable distribution of wealth is a nature of welfare state in a socialist structure of economy. So India is a basis based on socialism philosophy, and that again deals with providing all the necessities, all the basic amenities of life, as well as equal distribution of wealth to the every sections, every stratum of the society. It means that when someone is taking the wealth out of some part and he is piling his bank account, he is piling some gold cash, or he is having some trenches, that means he is stealing the money from the rights of the other. That is the fundamental principle of socialist philosophy that is provided in the welfare state model of Indian Constitution and enshrined in the directive principle of state policy. So keep it in mind in checking such questions. Then next question, what is the position of right to property in India? Is it a fundamental right where it is dealing with your part of life? So earlier during the period of independence, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar put it in the right place that right to property, right to vote, right to life, right to education, they all are part of fundamental right of the individual. But in coming scenario, we see that there was 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, 1970 Act, that provided that right to property is not in coherence with the government principle, and government is planning to do some kind of development project, some kind of efficiency, some kind of infrastructure development, some kind of buildings and monuments are there, then the right to property is again blocking the development project. Therefore, it was taken out from the fundamental right in year 1978 by making 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. Now, right to property is not a fundamental right. Okay, remember this guys, very important for your prelims. That means Article 31 has been taken out and curtailed from the fundamental right, and now the right to property has become a legal right. Remember it, that it is put under Article 300A of Part 12 of the Constitution of India. So right to property is 300A under Constitution of India, and it is not a fundamental right but it is a legal right, friends. Okay, यह एक कानूनी अधिकार रह गया है, ये आपका मौलिक अधिकार नहीं है. ठीक है, coming to the next part. So we should understand some of the features of Constitution which we were continuing after the independence, that what are the important parts of the Constitution, why it is asked again and again repetitively in UPSC, BPSC, UPPCS and other state competitions. So Indian Constitution is one of the longest written constitution across the world. That means it is largest in comparison to Canadian, USA or any constitution around the world. It has 395 articles, 22 parts, 12 schedule, we all know, and 5 appendices. keep it in mind for your prelims point of view. prelims के लिए बहुत important है, and there are in comparison to the other countries, we see Australia has only 14 articles and 128 articles in USA, and we have just 7 articles in USA. Then fundamental rights that are provided in the Indian Constitution, that are part of the basic structure of the Constitution, that are those rights that are inalienable to any person despite certain crucial condition of emergency and some other conditions when there is war or such calamities. So fundamental rights are also a part of the basic structure. They are present in the Constitution and they are unique feature of Indian Constitution. So these constitute the conscience of the Constitution. That means they are acting as a sense builder and scientific rights provided to every human being to exist in his rights, to assert his things, to act according to his way of life, to have equality, to have job, to have nutrition, to have health, to have water, to have sanitation and other health benefits out of the state perspective. That is a part of the fundamental right. And these were started in India in the year 1935. Now, they are fundamental rights which are protecting our rights, and these are the fundamental rights which are in conquest with the state's right. That means state is having some infringement on Article 19. We see that some kind of protest, some kind of march is going on, then there is some speech and some leader is getting arrested. आप देखते होंगे राहुल गांधी को पुलिस अरेस्ट करके ले जाती है, कहीं स्पीच दे रहे हैं, then Anna Hazare is being arrested. So in such manner, government tries to bar your right to speech and expression under Article 19 that are part of basic fundamental rights provided in the Constitution of India. So that are not to be infringed. Again, there are fundamental duties provided in the Indian Constitution. What does it mean, friends? Fundamental duties एक ऐसा भाग है जो कि आपको promise करता है that you are abided by certain duties for your nation. That means you are having certain rights for working in India, you are having certain rights on resources, you are having certain rights on the part of votings, on part of every sections of society, opportunity, equality, respect, religion and so on. But in the same way you have to follow certain duties. And what are those duties? You have to respect national anthem, respect your flag, respect every national symbol, then government bodies, government institutions and every public spaces, and you have to make a harmonious construct. You have to go in the way of cordial life and disciplined life. So there are many fundamental duties which are 10 in nature. We will discuss in the later classes. So these constitute the basic part of your Constitution along with the fundamental rights. So these were added in the year 2002 with more of the duty with your fundamental rights. Now coming to the next part, universal adult franchise. What is that? When someone is having an age group more than 18 years, that is greater than 18 years of age, then people are having the right to franchise their vote. They have their right to vote according to the need of the society, and they can elect a democratically elected representative for governing their nations. So we see that there was a JP movement. What was that movement? Jayaprakash Narayan rose against the Indira Gandhi government, which was being a totalitarian in nature. She was having all the powers in her hand with the help of bureaucracy, and she was asserting her crony kind of mentality over the expression of power. So the universal adult franchise make people able to cast their vote, to go into elections, to contend against any kind of candidate and have their own representation. That is again a part of franchisee, to elect their own representative, to have their religious complementaries, they have religious, caste, sex, descent, education, etc. And that is not to be discriminated upon by such kind of things. Now, next part comes for the parliamentary form of government. That means there is a parliament. जैसा कि हम जानते हैं, there is संसद. Now the new name is संसद, comprising of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So these two parts are there, and the parliamentary system has president, again a part of parliament, and he's a unique body who takes the joint sessions of every starting session of any session, and he passed the ordinances. So we will see in detail when we will discuss the part 5th about the president. And there is again a prime minister. So president is there, then there is prime minister, and there is speaker of the house. And in terms of Rajya Sabha, we have vice president who is heading as chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So Constitution of India preferred to choose responsibility over stability of the government. That means any elected government is responsible to cast its right over various kind of situation emerging in country. For example, we see that there was a rampant case of corona, that government on the behalf of people have 1 year long lockdown in all the states of India. There was complete lockdown. People were forced to live in their house, and people were bound to take medications, then vaccination, and have precautionary measures to get prevention from corona kind of disease. In similar way, we see that for the stability of the nature, we have economic system in which banking reforms were made in terms of RBI pushing too much of funds in the hand of the government. That is again a part of stable kind of system in our Indian Parliament. Now next part is federal nature of Indian Constitution. So Indian Constitution has a federal system. That means the states are free to choose certain decision despite central government. Like center makes the laws at the central level in terms of parliament, then there are states such as UP, Delhi, MP, Bihar. So states have their own stake to make laws in certain kind of field. For example, in kind of matter of police department, in kind of losing taxes, revenue distribution, state has its own stake at various levels. For example, we see in the case of GST, GST kind of thing has state's own claim over the union's laws. So state's own claim is that it can share the taxes with the union, it can curtail the taxes at certain products, it can have different scenario with terms of different business model. So that is again part of federalism, and federalism is very important for your prelims as well as mains, because it is often asked that under what circumstances India's constitution is providing the amenities for the federalism. For example, we see that there was cases when there was emergency imposed, there were disqualification of members, there are governor's rule in cases of northeastern state. In cases of Jammu and Kashmir, we see that Article 370 was completely abolished. Jammu and Kashmir case is very important because 370 was providing its own sovereignty to the Jammu and Kashmir. Jammu and Kashmir has its separate constitution for that instant, and it was governed by its own laws and regulation. But the central government bipartition and created new state out of Jammu and Kashmir, that is Leh and Ladakh as a union territory, and separate state of Jammu and Kashmir. That again becomes a part of issue of federalism. Okay, so new state creation, new boundaries creation are all the issues of federalism. Now, there is a seventh schedule in Indian Constitution which provide 3 lists. That means 3 lists guided by union list comprising of 97 items. Then there is a state list with having 66 items. Then there is concurrent list with almost 47 items. So concurrent list is again having both center as well as the state government as the stakeholder for laws, rules and regulations. In terms of union list, only the central government's act prevail. In terms of state list, that is a part of states, state can work on the subjects and matters of state list. Okay, in terms of police, in terms of local administration, in terms of panchayati raj polls, they all comes under the state list. Remember this fact, very important. Then next part is creation of finance commission for the distribution of taxes between union and the state government. What was the motto behind the finance commission? We see recently that 15th finance commission under the leadership of N.K. Singh provided that there is abnormal distribution of wealth between center and states. So there should be rationalization of revenues collected from the states as well as center in order to have equitable distribution of wealth. That was asked in the previous year question, that is that compiling of wealth or generation of wealth is against the principle of socialism. So yes, exactly, because we are having federal system and for the equitable distribution of wealth and inclusive growth we have finance commission. Okay, so we have finance commission in order to distribute the wealth in equitable level between the center as well as the state government. That helps in the development of states at various levels, such as in northeastern areas we see so much issues are there. In areas of Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep Island, where there are only tribal population, they are lacking the coherence in the structure, they are facing the developmental challenges, they are lacking the revenues, they are lacking the infrastructure, computer education, literacy, schools, colleges. So after distribution of taxes from center to state level, the trickle down effect goes to the lowest level and people get benefited out of these funds. Next part goes for a State Reorganization Act. Yes, so this is State Reorganization Act. What it provides? There is commission consisting of Fazl Ali, H.N. Kunzru and K.M. Panikar. Remember these 3 names. These 3 people has been engaged in State Reorganization Act. Fazl Ali, H.N. Kunjuru and K.M. Panikar, and these are all constitutional experts in terms of India, and these are having the recommendation for the reorganization of states in the period of independence of India in 1956. Then we saw the partition of Bengal in terms of East Bengal and West Bengal. East Bengal termed as Pakistan. Later it was acquired by Indira Gandhi regime in 1972, under which operation, put it in your comment box. Then there was West Bengal as a part of India. Similarly, the issues of reorganization emerged in the state of northeastern areas, in the state of Nagaland and in the state of Assam, Mizoram, Manipur. We saw that there was boundary issue at international level. Similarly, in Arunachal Pradesh, when there was issue of boundary and reorganization of state was created on the linguistic basis in terms of Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh was first linguistic state. Remember this point, very important for your film's point of view as well as means. So these committees and commissions are helping in reorganization of the constitution, that is emerging document, and India is a developing nature of democracy. India is having many kind of cases of development. So we see such kind of thing in the Indian constitution. The next part goes for again questions from the previous years, that what was the exact constitutional status of India on 26 January 1950. So was it a democratic republic? Was it a sovereign democratic republic? Was it a sovereign secular socialist democratic, or was it a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic? So correct answer is B, that is the original preamble adopted in the 26th November 1949 under the leadership of J.L. Nehru, which was declared a sovereign, democratic and republic nature of constitution. So what does it mean? I repeat in the previous year class that sovereign means state has its own power to make laws, rules and regulations over all the boundaries, over the international relations and over all the matters of law. And state is a democratic, that means elected representative is there, which is elected through the voting, and republic, it means it has head as a president, which is again a elected representative. Then by 42nd Amendment Act of 1976, socialist and secular were inserted in the Indian Constitution. After Keshwananda Bharati case, we see that there was a huge matter of debate in the Supreme Court, that do India need to have amendment in the preamble, do preamble is a part of constitution or not. Then there was motto of sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic was put forth through the amendment in the constitution in the year 1976. Okay, remember this fact, very important for film's point of view. Next is the constitutional government means. What is a constitutional government and what it means? A representative government of nation with federal structure, government whose head enjoys nominal power, or government whose head enjoys nominal powers in the other areas, and D, a government limited by terms of the constitution. So D is the correct answer. Why, friends? Because the Constitution of India provides certain limitations on the activities of its people when there is a case of democratic rights assertion, when there are people protesting for their fundamental rights, sitting on the railway lines, on the roadways, burning of the government vehicles, public offices. Then therefore the constitution provides certain restrictions on the rights of the people, that is again exercise of political power by the government, and it is under certain limitation. It also provides the principles and rules for the government of political actors. So we see that constitution has detailed remarks for the government at the constitutional level. We have constitutional machinery, parliamentary committees are there, parliamentary secretariat is there, which advises the elected representative to act in certain manner. So that is a control over the representation, and it helps to exercise power of separation from dividing the constitutional government, providing framework with the government which can be responsible and representative. So protects the rights of individual, promote participation and maintain the security of the citizen. Okay, so you keep on learning these factors of fundamental rights, directive principles, welfare state and basic structure of Indian Constitution, what is preamble saying, because it are again and again asked in the prelims and various competitive examination. So I hope that you are understanding the concept very well, and with that I end my classes for today. So thanking you and have a nice day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.